Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost, because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, if you have time to also watch your sun sign and moon sign horoscopes, please do so, because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will tell you more about your home life, your family life, and your current state of emotional health and well-being. Now, before I get into the horoscopes, I just want to kind of announce that it's been 12 months since I did my very first horoscope series, which I launched on the 1st of October 2020. So a lot has happened in that time. The channel has grown so much and I've connected with so many of you guys, and I just love hearing from you. I love reading your comments and interacting with you more personally. So if these horoscopes resonate for you, please drop me a comment, let me know what's going on in your life. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook, I'll leave a link in the description box below, but it's basically just Castrology, which is the same handle as what I use for my YouTube channel. So wishing you guys a prosperous October 2021. And without further ado, let's dive into the horoscopes. Hi Taurus Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. On the 1st of October or the 30th of September, depending where you live in the world, Venus in Scorpio in your 7th house will square Jupiter in Aquarius in your 10th house. Venus is your ruling planet, so this effectively represents you and what you're doing. Now, because it's in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, and the 7th house is also a business house in astrology, this transit can see there being some kind of rapid expansion and growth in your career. Jupiter is placed in your 10th house, which rules over your public persona and your professional responsibilities. So while this is a good thing in the sense that your career could be really taking off around this time, it's kind of like there's not enough of you to go around. Jupiter rules over your 11th house, which represents large groups of people, and the 11th house is also connected to the internet and social media. Now, Venus is in the 7th house, which represents these one-on-one relationships that you have. Now, these could be with clients or anyone that you do business with. So there's essentially a very big demand on the services that you offer. Now, on a positive note, this can lead to a big spike or increase in your mutual resources or in the money that you are making off of these client services. And that is because Jupiter rules over your 8th house. So anyone who is in a consulting role or who has a lot of services that they offer can have a big boom in business at this time. You don't have to be in one of those roles though. Honestly, if you are in the workforce, this will just be an extremely busy period for you, which will entail both growth and expansion, and you being pretty tired and exhausted with how much work you have to get through. Now, of course, not all of you are currently employed, whether you're retired or you're looking for employment. This transit can affect you in a different way, where if you are involved in any kind of large group or community, or if you are in some kind of unpaid leadership role, again, this can see there being a big demand on your time and on your energy. Now, on a different level, this can affect your romantic relationships. For those of you who are already in a committed relationship, or if you're casually dating someone, this transit can see there being pressure on the relationship to take it to the next level. Now, because Venus is your ruling planet, this is probably going to be pressure that's more so coming from your end. In any case, Jupiter represents the highest point in your chart, okay? It's the midheaven, so to speak. Even if your midheaven's not Aquarius, you know, this is a whole sign horoscope, so this represents you wanting to announce to the world that your relationship is progressing. It's about making a statement about where you and your partner are currently at. So if you're casually dating, this could be pressure on the relationship to make it exclusive. If you are engaged, you may just want to rush a bit and finally just get married and elope. Or on a different note, with Jupiter ruling your 8th house of mutual resources, maybe you really want to join your bank account with your partner, or maybe you want to make some kind of purchase together, which tells the world that the two of you are an item. Now, on the 6th of September, there will be a new moon in Libra in your 6th house. There's a lot of aspects going on with this new moon, so just bear with me. We will see an exact in conjunction to Uranus in Taurus. So with this new moon, which represents some kind of new beginning or new chapter starting in your life, there is some kind of unpredictable element here. Now, because Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, this represents an unpredictable element to the actions that you take or to the reactions that you have to this new chapter starting. On a different level, in conjunctions, otherwise known as quincunxes, represent there being some kind of challenging energy or even some kind of distraction or diversion. So basically with this new moon in your 6th house, which will be conjunct Mars and which will be in a wide conjunction with Mercury, which is retrograde, on the work front, this can see you starting some new job or a new responsibility in the workplace. Because Mercury is retrograde, it's likely that you have either carried out this work responsibility or this work duty before. Maybe you were promised that this was going to start and now it's been delayed, or maybe you've just got some awareness of what it is that's coming your way. Now, you may be starting a new job altogether. You could be leaving behind your previous workplace, or maybe you have been out of work for a while and now you're re-entering the workforce, or maybe you're simply allowed to return back to the office. Now, on a different note, this could see a new employee coming on board. So you could be hiring them, or maybe you are welcoming a new boss, or maybe your boss took a sabbatical and now they're returning to the workplace. In any case, there will be some kind of unexpected element to this new moon, like I indicated before. So maybe the timing of these new responsibilities doesn't quite work with your schedule, or there's just some kind of curveball that's thrown your way. Now, on a different level, the 6th house rules over your health. And because this new moon will be conjunct Mercury, which is retrograde, and Mercury rules over the 2nd house, which represents food, some of you may decide to implement a different diet. So you may want to cut out gluten. You may want to become a vegetarian or a vegan. Because Mercury is retrograde, I imagine that a lot of you will be trying to implement some new health habit which you have tried to do before. So maybe you've tried to quit smoking before. Maybe you used to be a vegan or a vegetarian. In any case, whatever health habit you are trying to implement will be coupled with some kind of challenge because of this in conjunction with Uranus in your 1st house. Now, your money habits or your spending habits are also heavily indicated in this new moon in Libra in your 6th house. The 6th house rules over taking out loans, and this conjunction with Mercury, which rules your 2nd house of finances, can show that you are wanting to implement some kind of budget system. Maybe you're putting money aside to start saving. Mercury also rules over your 5th house, which rules over gambling. So if you have issues with gambling, this is a great time for you to take some practical steps towards a healthier lifestyle or healthier habits when it comes to what you're doing with your resources and with your spendings. Now, on the 9th or the 10th of October, we will see the Sun, Mars, and Mercury all being conjunct at 16 degrees in Libra. So while new moons represent planting the seed or having the initial idea, if you are looking to take actual action with regard to this new moon, I recommend that you do so on the 9th or the 10th of October, depending where you live in the world, because you will be able to manifest this into your life on a more tangible level. Now, between the 6th and the 19th of October, we will see 4 planets stationing direct. Now, with Pluto stationing direct in Capricorn in your 9th house, on the 6th or the 7th of October, this can see you transforming your world beliefs, your political beliefs, and your spiritual beliefs. So with Pluto having been retrograde for about 5 months, there may have been a lot of introspection and really assessing what you believe to be true about the world. And this may have caused some friction within your one-on-one relationships. And that is because Pluto rules over your 7th house of partnerships and marriage. You may have to really stand up for what you believe in these one-on-one relationships, which can be a little bit tricky. Now, on the 11th of October, with Saturn stationing direct in your 10th house in Aquarius, this can see things with your career finally starting to progress a lot better than what they have been. And this goes for any kind of leadership position that you have, even if it's not related to career, if you're not in the workforce, any kind of figurehead position or title that you hold may have just had a lot of bureaucratic hoops to jump through. So things will be going more smoothly in that respect. Now, with Jupiter stationing direct in your 10th house, your professional duties can expand, your career can expand, and it can progress onwards from whatever level you have felt quite stuck at. And you may be able to reach more people online, or even just connect with people in large groups and communities, because Jupiter rules over your 11th house. Now, lastly, with Mercury stationing direct on the 18th or the 19th of October in your 6th house of work, you can settle into some kind of new role in the workplace or a new job altogether. Health issues may settle down, and you may even have been able to resolve some kind of health ailment or issue, especially if it pertains to nerve pain in your teeth, because Mercury rules the 2nd house, which is connected to the mouth and the teeth. Or it could even be back pain, like a pinched nerve, because Mercury rules over your 5th house, which rules over your back. Now, with Mercury being direct in your 6th house, you will have been able to successfully implement these new daily habits that you have wanted to implement. And once again, this could be connected to food, your spending habits, issues with gambling, or even just spending more time with your children. Maybe you have introduced some kind of routine and now your child is taking to it like a duck to water. Now, on the 19th of October, Mars in Libra in your 6th house will trine Jupiter in Aquarius in your 10th house. On the work front, any work that you have been doing with a business partner, with anyone in business, or with a client, or even with your significant other, may be finally ready to bring out into the public. So Mars ruling over the 12th house represents what you've been working on behind the scenes. So whatever you've been doing, it might have been quite secret. You may not have told a lot of people about it, but with this trine to Jupiter in your 10th house, which represents your highest point of public visibility, don't overcook whatever it is that you've been doing. If you've just been like working on something to the bone and you're like, no, it's not ready. This trine to Jupiter represents that it is ready and that it will be received favorably. So, don't try to over perfect something. With this trine from Mars to Jupiter in your 10th house, this also shows that there could be increased professional responsibilities, which lead to an increase in your mutual resources, as represented by Jupiter ruling over your 8th house. But it could just be that these professional responsibilities, which may be quite challenging for you and which may be something you've never done before, could lead to an increase in your salary, because Jupiter rules over your 11th house, which is a money house. Or it could even just be an increase in your future earning potential. So what you do today may serve you well down the track. Now, with Mars in your 6th house trine Jupiter in your 10th house, you may reach some kind of amicable court case decision, and it could even be an out-of-court settlement. So Jupiter rules over your 8th house, which represents mutual resources. And the day before, Jupiter will have just turned direct in Aquarius, and Aquarius itself represents equal outcomes and equality. So if the settlement that you are seeking, or if the terms that you are seeking are quite just and quite fair, I do see this as having a positive result, or at least an amicable conclusion is within reach at this time. Now, on the 20th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries in your 12th house. So whenever we see a full moon take place, the moon and the sun are in exact opposition with one another. Now, the sun will actually be conjunct Mars in your 6th house, and this full moon will be squaring Pluto in Capricorn in your 9th house. So the 12th house is a very psychological house, and it's also the house of everything which is hidden and unknown to us, and it also rules over addictions. So this full moon can lead to you having some kind of psychological epiphany where you understand some kind of self-sabotaging behavior which you have been exhibiting in your one-on-one relationships. And that is because Mars rules over your 7th house of relationships. Now, this can see you achieving some kind of artistic goal or some kind of creative goal which is related to your professional life. Now, because this full moon is squaring Pluto in Capricorn in your 9th house, it's likely that the success that you experience with this creative or artistic goal that you've, released out into the world could be so significant. So the success of this could be so significant that it totally transforms your vision for the future. So with Pluto in your 9th house, which represents seeing the bigger picture, maybe it's a pretty big realization of just knowing that you have further to go, or that your potential is so much bigger than what you initially thought. And this full moon in Aries could lead you to making some very difficult decisions when it comes to your one-on-one relationships. Now, on the addiction front, this rules over all kinds of addictions. Your addiction to your phone, your addiction to social media, your addiction to Netflix, to video games. The list goes on and on. I don't want to talk too much about myself, but I know I have a problem with how much I use my phone. So, honestly, this full moon in Aries in your 12th house can see you overcoming these addictions that you have and understanding the ways that you use them as a crutch to escape reality, because there's something unpleasant that you don't want to deal with in your day-to-day life. And that's represented by the sun and Mars being conjunct in your 6th house, which rules over your daily habits. It rules over anything which is toxic or out of balance in our lives. So this full moon in Aries will serve as an illuminating force in understanding what you can change, how you can improve your life, and where you've been tripping yourself up because you have been reluctant to take the next step and transform in a positive way. And lastly, with this one, you certainly can discover the root cause of some kind of health issue, and now you're able to take conscious and practical steps in, working with how to resolve it, or even pain management. A lot of you will of course have chronic health issues that aren't going to have some magical cure, but this full moon in Aries will allow you to really see the steps that you can take, however small, or the things that you can do, however minute, which will take some of the pressure off of your day-to-day life. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 22nd of October, Mars in Libra in your 6th house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 9th house. Yes, Mars square Pluto is, not everyone's favorite transit because they are two malefic planets. They do represent some kind of challenge occurring here. But I just want to say, Mars being in the 6th house represents problem-solving ability and being able to cut things out which no longer serve us. Mars is happy to transit the 6th house, so it's not so bad. And Pluto represents the death of something so that something can be born or rejuvenated or renewed in its place. Now, Pluto's in your 9th house, which represents seeing the bigger picture. It's the house of religion, spirituality, it's the house of God, or just your connection to source or the universe, whatever you want to call it. So this square from Mars in your 6th house to Pluto in your 9th house can really see you removing toxic relationships from your life. And that is because both Mars and Pluto rule over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships. So there may be some kind of conflict which occurs within a relationship where you're going, wow, I don't think I can be friends with this person anymore, or I don't think I can be in a relationship with this person anymore. It's about the uncomfortability of the realization which Pluto brings you, but you're able to transform your health, your well-being, and your relationships by removing this toxicity. Now, you don't necessarily need to cut these people out of your life. It could just be that you understand the changes that need to take place in this relationship for the relationship to continue. Now, on a different level, some of you may just be leaving the workplace because you discover some kind of underhandedness which is going on, which is curtailing your potential to expand. So, and I mean expand as a person, expand on a spiritual level, expand in terms of your travel opportunities or your education opportunities. Mars rules over your 12th house, which represents hidden enemies. And given that it's in your 6th house, which rules over open enemies, this is about you going, okay, I see you, I see this person or this thing in my life which is holding me back from achieving my dreams and what I want to do in the future. Now, on the 30th or the 31st of October, depending where you live in the world, Mars will enter the sign of Scorpio, which means it will be transiting your 7th house. I'm not going to talk about it in this horoscope because it's already long enough. So make sure that you've subscribed to the channel if you want to see this content next month, because that will be the first thing that I talk about in November. So I hope you've enjoyed this horoscope. I hope you enjoy October, and leave me a comment if this resonated with you. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it and if you want it to reach more people. Enjoy your month ahead and take care.